Matthew Golden is showing out. We haven't seen a lot from Anthony Belton and Savion Williams yet, but the 2025 Packers draft class could become the template for Brian Gutekunst moving forward.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast to iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers, the #1 Packers podcast on the internet, and the show for fans who know what happened. They want to know why and how. Thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. Matthew Golden has been really good. We haven't seen much from Anthony Belton and Savion Williams, but those two guys were the upside swings. Now, you can argue Matthew Golden is an upside swing too. He was someone who did not have big-time production at the college level. He did have at least one elite trait, and that was the speed, the 4.29 speed, which, by the way, I don't think is there on tape, but a potentially dynamic player. But doesn't quite fit the mold of the kinds of players the Packers under Brian Gutekunst has prioritized, especially in the first round. He has prized physical tools, a complete profile, the Rashawn Garys, the Lucas Van Nesses, the Quay Walkers, the Jordan Loves even. Those have been the players that he has prioritized, and I think a lot of Packer fans would say to his detriment. What he did in this class, and whether it works, very much to be determined. So I don't want us to jump to conclusions before we have any of the facts and evidence, much less all of them. We certainly don't have all of them. We have like one or two, right? But the early returns on Matthew Golden, a player who, even for the people who did not love him coming out of college, and I'm one of them, thought, yes, he can come in and play a role right away. He had a polished game. I thought a more limited game than apparently he's showing, but a polished game and a defined skill set that would allow him to flourish right away while he refined the parts of his game that still needed refining. Every player comes into the NFL and still has pieces of their, even if you're good right away, even if you're great right away, there's still pieces of your game that can be refined. Justin Jefferson is still refining parts of his game. Jamar Chase is still refining parts of his game. I'm not saying Matthew Golden is going to be that. I'm just saying everyone has that growth to do. But what this draft did uniquely was it took a player in the first round at a position where the Packers could really use some juice, and it was the reason why we talked about it. If there was one position where the Packers could draft in the first round that would maximally improve their roster, it was receiver. But then what did they do on day two? They took a big swing with a huge, talented offensive lineman, and they took a huge swing with a size speed monster. That's the approach that they have traditionally taken in the first round. What if this becomes the template? You find a player in the first round while you are contending that may be a little more pro ready, while not prioritizing as heavily the size speed outliers. You give yourself a little bit more backstop, and maybe you cut yourself off from a little bit of upside. Now, the irony is Matthew Golden, through a week of training camp, has looked better than any other first-round pick that Brian Gutekunst has made. So, and again, that is to be expected in some ways because he was not a developmental player. He was someone presumably ready to go. Now, I have in the past suggested that we have overstated the degree to which Brian Gutekunst likes projects. For example, Jair Alexander, week 1 starter. Darnell Savage, week 1 starter. Quay Walker, week 1 starter. They wanted Devontae Wyatt to be able to contribute right away. He just wasn't ready to do that. And I think they wanted Lucas Van Ness to be able to do a little bit more. He wasn't quite ready for that. They wanted Jordan Morgan to start right away. Jordan Morgan was not a project, 3-year starter. He was ready to go. Eric Stokes did not start from day one, but the first month of the season, he was out there starting. And I frankly said in the preseason, that should be your day one starter. 2 years in the SEC, he was not a project. He was a freak athlete. Now, it's possible that what I am doing right now is just draft the good players thing. But when we look at value, quarterback is really the only position where you can look at that rookie contract, given the value now of, the top pass rushers now are making $40 million a year. The top receivers are making $40 million. They're making what was top of the market quarterback money just a couple years ago. The market for those guys has exploded. So the plus EV that you're getting, the value added that you're getting by not having to pay those guys. And we used to talk about, these rookie contract players, the rookie quarterbacks are so valuable. Okay, well, if you have a star receiver on a rookie deal, you're saving yourself $30+ million. If you have a star pass rusher on a rookie deal, you're saving yourself $30+ million. That's extremely valuable. They tried to draft a star pass rusher in Lucas Van Ness. The problem is, by the time a player like Lucas Van Ness, because it seems like, right, he's making the progress that you want him to make, it's year 3 though. So if he's that guy in year 3, now you got to make a decision on his 5th-year option. He might want to get a contract. At the very least, you want to get a contract in a year done. And so it's like, okay, well then, how much value did you extract out of that rookie deal? But if you have some guys that can come in and play right away, hey, that's really nice. Now, I have to be consistent on this. I have always said you would rather have the player that has the upside than bet on floor and take away that upside, right? So a player that you don't think could ever be more than just a B+ player is not a first-round player. You want the player that you think can be an A+ player. But that does have to be balanced against what they can be for you year 1, year 2. And it's why I've always said that best available is a myth. It is the player who can make your team maximally better over the life of his rookie contract. That's what you want. So that includes potential opportunity. That includes the cost of that player not being paid at the top of the market, which means you don't have to go pay somebody. So if you hit on a receiver, you don't have to go buy one. You don't have to go to the free agent market. You hit on a pass rusher. You don't have to go buy one. You don't have to go pay Zadarius Smith. You don't have to go pay for Preston Smith. That's the beauty of what a rookie allows you to do. What you could do here, and look, you go back and you look at the options. There were players with less freaky tools. And it's easy for me to sit here and say, just take the players who turned out to be better. But I do wonder if there is an opportunity for Green Bay to self-scout here a little bit and think, hey, in our process, because I believe them when they say things like, hey, look, Lucas Van Ness was the highest graded player on our board. We were thrilled to take him. I believe them. Now, I sometimes it seems hard to believe that the best player available just happened to play a position of need for them. Oh, we thought this guy was going to go 15 spots higher. There's no way we thought he was going to be there. Like, yeah, come on. Don't insult our intelligence on this. But is there part of them that is overvaluing the traits and undervaluing something like pro readiness? Is there a way to better thread this needle, to find the Goldilocks zone there? I don't have a good answer for that, because the draft is a crapshoot. And you look at the smart drafting teams, they do a little bit of both. Sometimes they're like, you know what? This player is not perfect, but we'll take him. Or this player, like the Eagles, Jihad Campbell, he's hurt. We'll take him. The Ravens, Tyler Linderbaum, size, not exactly what, we'll take him. Now, that can lead to problems too. The Eagles, by the way, they prioritize the hell out of traits. Jordan Davis, traits monster. Just been kind of fine for them. So it's not like every, the approach always works in one way and not the other. The question that I'm asking is, can this be tweaked? Understanding that on day 2, hey, that's a great time to take some swings. That's a great time to prioritize traits. Whereas maybe in round 1, you want to find a better balance between traits and floor. Now, the best players have that. And that's the problem for the Packers, is they're drafting at the end of the first round. The players with a lot of upside and a high floor, those guys go. Those guys are top 10 players. So I understand what I'm asking here is difficult. I'm just wondering if there is something in the process here that can be tweaked. So, hey, on day 2, you can still get your Anthony Beltons and your Savion Williams. Those guys could end up being star players. You're betting on the traits. But they could also be A.J. Dillon. You're betting on the traits. The physical tools. They could be Josh Jones. You're betting on the physical tools. I don't have a perfect answer here. But I see this draft class and I go, maybe this is the way to do it. Maybe prioritizing positions where you don't have to draft projects, like receiver, by the way, is a better way to handle this. And that means avoiding linebacker. It means avoiding safety, avoiding some of these positions where you guard, where you can find players later in the draft. All right, we've gone way too long, but we're going to keep talking about receivers next on Locked On Packers. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can be. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Managing money with your partner is easier than ever. Track everything day to day, plan goals together, and get to the place you want to go together. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. We're going to keep on the Matthew Golden train for just a second. And by a second, I mean between 7 and 9 minutes. And it's not just going to be Matthew Golden. So if you're sick of the Matthew Golden stuff, relax. But the question I want to answer is, how good does Matthew Golden have to be, and how soon, for the Packers to look around and go, let's find value at this receiver position in the trade market? Because the easiest pushback is you immediately lose your depth if you trade one of these guys. Christian Watson is not back yet. We don't know when that is going to happen, although we got some reporting yesterday that he's already hitting 22 miles an hour in rehab. That is hella fast. His personal best is apparently 23 miles an hour. 22 is hauling ass. Like, that is move it. Okay. He's cutting sharp cuts. And I was told weeks ago that he is ahead of schedule, really looks good in rehab and practice and all that stuff. Matthew Golden is doing exactly what we said when we were talking about this a couple weeks ago. Look, you can't trade a Romeo Doubs or a Dontavian Wicks if you don't have a boundary receiver to put out there instead. Matthew Golden, once again, yesterday, out there, first team rep, 12 personnel, 2 receivers on the field. It's Romeo Doubs, it's Matthew Golden. It got me thinking. I don't know what Romeo Doubs' trade value is, but he's going into the final year of his contract. He's a nice player. I think you could get a day 3, maybe a high day 3 pick for him, depending on who you're talking to, depending on who you're dealing with, depending on how desperate they are. But that's the final year of his rookie deal. And then you got to give him $10, $12, $13 million a year. Are there teams out there that want to give up stuff to do that? What if Dontavian Wicks is actually the guy to trade? Now you're trading him at his lowest value point right now, but he's got the extra year on his deal. An extra year of team control. He is under contract in 2026. So a team acquiring him is going to get him for whatever amount of this year that you get up until the trade deadline potentially, and then next year. Then let's say you lose Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson in free agency. Well, that leaves you with Matthew Golden, Savion Williams, Jaden Reed. And Jaden Reed looking to get paid. And then whatever other players, the Malik Heaths, the Bo Meltons, the Julian Hickses, the Cornelius Johnsons, the end of the roster guys that could pop here. How good does Matthew Golden need to be for that to be good enough? Because Jaden Reed is a nice player. I think he is a very good number 2 receiver. In fact, I have and will continue to make the case that if he had a Justin Jefferson, he would be pretty comfortably outproducing Jordan Addison in Minnesota, especially given the target share. If you look at stuff like yards per route run, those sorts of things, he just is more productive. And they throw the ball way more in Minnesota. He runs more routes, but they also throw the ball way more. So if Golden is your number, at what number? Give me the number. What number wide receiver 1? Let's say he's a wide receiver 1. Let's say. I'm not assuming we're playing a game here. This is a counterfactual. This is a hypothetical. Let's just dream a minute. I have this conversation with my wife all the time. Talking about a trip. Or, we're on a vacation somewhere and I'm just like, oh yeah, did you see that house? We're not going to buy that house, but I like to dream. I just like to talk it out. Let's just have a conversation. Okay? So let's just have this conversation. How good could Matthew Golden be? Does he have to be for you to go, okay, someone like Dontavian Wicks, it's worth it to move on from that upside because you can get more value for him. Would a team be willing? A desperate team. It would probably have to be a team that hopes to contend, that loses a player to injury, and be willing to trade you a pick. The Ravens lose Zay Flowers, or, the Bills, they don't have any receivers to lose, frankly. Or, the Browns lose Jerry Jeudy. Hey, let's just take a flyer on somebody. That maybe could eat up some volume here and maybe develop into something more. I'm just spitballing here. How good does Matthew Golden need to be for a Golden, Reed, Williams? He's like your developmental third receiver. How good does Matthew Golden have to be? I think he has to be pretty good. But the thing is like Mecole Hardman is doing stuff in camp. He makes a play a day. It's easy to forget how essential he was to Chiefs Super Bowls, plural. He's a real NFL receiver. Like how many Packers receivers can actually say that? Like, Bo Melton is now a corner, for crying out loud. Mecole Hardman has won 3 Super Bowl titles. An all-pro returner in 2019 as a rookie. He's a dynamic football player. So, like this year especially, how many guys can you have? Now, we've talked about the Bob McGinnism of, you never really have too many guys. But even with Christian Watson, if he starts on the pup, you've got Dobbs, Golden, Wicks, Williams, Reed. That's 5. Now Melton, okay, he's moving to corner. Watson's on the pup. Hardman is 6. Watson makes 7. That's before you get to Malik Heath, who was like catching passes in a playoff game last year for the Packers. That's crazy depth. Do you need all those players? And I've gotten fans, I put this out on socials, fans that say, hey, look, we lost our 3 receivers in Philadelphia. We need the depth. It's like, the Eagles wouldn't win the Super Bowl if Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown had both gotten hurt. And they definitely don't win it if Jahan Dotson does too. Like if the Kansas City Chiefs had lost Travis Kelce in any of their Super Bowl runs, they don't win the Super Bowl. You need your guys to stay healthy. I think depth at a position like receiver is pretty overrated, frankly. Because almost every team has a guy. Now the Packers, their depth is their superpower at receiver because they don't have a guy. But let's envision a world in which they did. What if Matthew Golden is a guy? And let's even say, just for sake of argument, that he's like the 20th best receiver in the NFL in a year. By the end of this year, we're going, yes, he's a legit number 1, but he's like a low-end number 1. I'm trying to think of a useful facsimile here. He's in that sort of DK Metcalf, for example. He's getting paid like he's better than that. I'm trying to, just off the dome, figure out the range here. Is Terry McLaurin? Is that the range of player we're talking about? He wants $30 million. But if Terry McLaurin is your wide receiver 1 and Jaden Reed is your wide receiver 2, I feel like the Commanders would take that. Like that's why they traded for Deebo Samuel. And frankly, I think Terry McLaurin is a pretty good comparable player for Matthew Golden in a lot of ways. This is just, what I've been thinking about. So how good does he have to be? And then how much of that do the Packers have to see right away to pull this trigger? I still think we're talking about post Christian Watson return. He looks good. Okay, you pull the trigger. Maybe by then you have an injury. The Broncos lose Cortland Sutton, but they still want to try and compete. Rashee Rice, gets hurt, coming back, something like that. Maybe the Chargers just want to go for it. And they remember Dontavian Wicks lighting them up in 2023. It all hinges on how good Matthew Golden can be. I want to talk about another Packers receiver to close this episode of Locked On Packers, but he hasn't played in Green Bay in a long time. We'll talk about the Hall of Famer Sterling Sharpe next on Locked On Packers. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavors to your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp, to stay energized. Swing juice, if you will. You're having a bad hole, you just made double. Could have easily been a par, and you duff the chip and then miss the putt. All of a sudden it's a 3-putt. You need a little boost. Guess what? Golf is about the good times and the good people with good flavors. So 5 Hour Energy is there to give you that boost when you need it. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that's the number 5hourenergy.com. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, I need a 5 Hour Energy. Get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5 Hour Energy shots today. Sterling Sharpe headed to the Hall of Fame, long overdue. I thought we were going to have to wait longer, frankly. But Chris Chapasso, who's a friend of Locked On Packers, upstate New York guy, buddy of mine, right? He has a Substack called The Trap Sheet. And he thought it would be cool to extrapolate. We love that. In Sterling Sharpe's career, okay, for those of you that were not there for Sterling Sharpe, and I was early I was a proto-Packers fan at that point. I was young, but I do remember early Sterling Sharpe, at least early for me. And he was awesome. He was awesome. And what's funny is I remember him being bigger. And maybe that was because I was little, but I'm watching a football field. He's on the football field with big guys. But he was so dominant that to me, he was 6 foot 207. Like I'm 6'3", 207. I always thought of him as 6'4", 220 because in my mind, he was this big, tall, fast dude. At his peak, okay, 92, 93, he goes over 100 catches both of those years. First team All-Pro. He had 3 first team All-Pros in 7 seasons. He had over 90 catches in 4 of those 7. So Chris, enterprising writer and analyst that he is, thought, okay, 72.6 receiving yards per game. The only receivers with higher career yard per game averages who began their NFL careers in the 80s. So we're adjusting for era here. Michael Irvin and Jerry Rice. That's something. Now you take the age cliff into our minds. Dipper in production, 30 to 34 seasons. And so he extrapolated what the final numbers would be. Career numbers, if he had played and had to retire because of the neck injury. Had Sharpe played through the 99 season, he would have been second in NFL history in catches behind Jerry Rice. His yardage would have made him 7th all-time by the end of the 1999 season. And his touchdowns would have been 4th. Jerry Rice, Chris Carter, Steve Largent. Like, that's what he could have been if he could have stayed healthy. And even when he was out there, he was an incredible player. Leroy Butler will tell you that if he'd have stayed healthy, we would not consider Jerry Rice to be the greatest of all time, not just receiver. I think he's the greatest football player who has ever lived. That's me. That you would think it was Sterling Sharpe. I have said on more than one occasion that I think if Sterling Sharpe had stayed healthy, that the Packers would have won at least one more Super Bowl. He was a special player. And we just get to add Sterling to a line of Packer players that the public push has worked for. It worked for Leroy Butler. It took a long time, but it worked. It worked for Jerry Kramer. It took a long time, but it worked. Mike Holmgren's got to be the next. Like, there are coaches in the Hall of Fame now who were contemporaries of Mike Holmgren that when they were coaching at the same time, everyone agreed Mike Holmgren was better. I don't understand it. Mike Holmgren, Mike Shanahan, those guys have got to be in. And so this is a reminder. Your history is important. And that the Packers have had some really special players over the years. Sterling Sharpe is one of them. And I'm glad he's being recognized finally. He really did have the chance to be one of the best to ever live. And he was anyway, even in his short time. All right. The Packers are streaming Family Night. Streaming. We are going to be live after the stream, after the practice. So find us. We'll be here. Come hang out on our YouTube page. We're streaming after Family Night. Family Night will be streaming, so you can watch that stream. Click on over to my stream. Come hang out with me. We'll talk about it. We'll overreact. We'll underreact. We'll react. We'll do all the acting. Follow me on the social medias. I'll tweet out the link. I'll skeet out the link. I'll thread out the link. I'll do all the things. DM me your number. I'll text you the link. Don't do that. But do follow me on the social medias. Follow the podcast on the social media. Subscribe on YouTube. Come hang out with us so you can stay locked on Packers.